Hey, you guys, it's Bigfoot Michigan Rob. It's time for another subscriber or emailer encounter story. You guys, it's Saturday. It's 8 minutes after 8 o'clock on Saturday. I do these Friday afternoon. Well, I've been out of power. I've been out of power. It's been cold, and finally got the power on. So I do apologize for this being a little late. And I got to tell you something. The worth is well weighted because I'm going to tell you something. This story has the elements of evil. It's about a supposed dogman. It's about this town, a secretive town. It's about a religious man, a holy man, as this guy says he is, who tells the story. I found it creepy. I found everybody in this story to be not good people from head to toe. Nobody in this story is a good person. I even question whether this was a dog man. I think it's something more demonic. Let's get on with it. I call this Southern Devil Dog. I served as a priest from the years of 1990 to 2020. I am not going to mention my denomination, my congregation, or the other towns that I happened to pass through preaching the good word. I will be transparent and say that I believe in our Lord Jesus Christ, to at least make you aware of my belief system. To be quite forward and upfront, I always believe that individuals, whether it be on television, radio, or today's streaming platforms, that spoke on the subject matter of cryptids, the paranormal, aliens, etc., to be disciples of evil. It seems to me that such contrived beliefs were only discussed to influence and to deteriorate an already weakening society where humanity has taken a back seat to what is right and what is wrong. I do believe people that study this genre will call it the thinning of the veil. I call it the welcoming of the Antichrist. Well, at least that's what I thought. The majority of my preachings have been spread throughout the Deep South, mainly poverty-stricken environments with higher crime rates, lack of law enforcement, and very poorly run state departmental health care services. The term living day to day or paycheck to paycheck was about the norm if you happen to have a job. The church and prayer service was about the only venue where people had hope, a place to be pulled out from despair and dread. It was also a place where I heard the stories. And these stories I shunned and could not give absolution, nor could I give forgiveness. The time was during the period extending from 2018 to my eventual leaving the church in 2020. For today, I am the one who seeks absolution for my sins. The sins of turning my head to those who came to me for help, to excise the demons that lurked in this small southern town. It was early spring in 2018, just after my sermon, when a husband and wife I will name John and Susan approached me in a rather frantic manner and asked me to come and bless their home. I asked them to please take a breath and to explain to me what exactly it was that seems to scare them so badly. The couple went on to tell me about the black dog, well, actually, Rob, the white dog that would come to their bedroom window at night. The reason I put black is because this is described as a Doberman Pinscher, and I've never known of a white Doberman Pinscher. So in my email, that's what I just wrote. And that's good. I'm not going to edit that. Thank you for that. A white Doberman Pinscher. Well, scared this couple the most is that this dog spoke to them in a telepathic manner through the window. And again, they described it looked like the Doberman Pinscher, but this had glaring red eyes, and it had to be extremely tall as it peered into the bedroom, with the window being at least a good 4 feet above the ground on the first floor. This was strange. Along with the red eyes and the most concerning telepathy, I listened and told them to just pray to God and to continue to come to worship at church. I must admit, in hearing this story, this was the first time that I even questioned my faith. Not because of the tale of the dog, which I did not believe at the time. I was scared of this couple. I was scared of them. I kept going over and over in my head what liars they are. I thought it best to just ignore them. Days went by, and John and Susan again came back and pleaded for me to come to their house. Days turned into months. The couple began to look tired and they began to look haggard. I told them that they needed to seek professional help and told them to leave me alone. In fact, I told them to not come back to church until they sought medical attention. I just got to say, what type of holy man is this, you guys? That's what I have to interject that. I'm sorry. 3 days after I sent them on their way, John shot and killed Susan. Then he took his own life by putting a 12-gauge shotgun inside his mouth, blowing his head clean off. Word spread quickly throughout the church about John and Susan, some rightfully so. They had pointed the finger at me for the rumors of my refusal to help them. The story now escalated to an apparent devil dog that was rumored to visit the couple's home. The story got out to the outlying towns surrounding our community, and soon others began to ask questions. I spoke briefly with our town's local chief of police or sheriff. The only question that he had for me was about the rumor that I refused to help the couple. I brought up the ridiculous story of them being visited and the communications from a red-eyed dog. I told the sheriff that I asked John and Susan to seek professional help and that I could not be of service. The chief, dismayed, he shook his head. He was looking at the ground, and before leaving, he told me this: that story is not so ridiculous. He frowned and he left. The communities, the municipalities, and town leaders called for a town meeting and invited me to join and speak of what John and Susan told me. I was assured that the meeting would be civil and that some townspeople were understanding about my lack of actions, or thereof, regarding John and Susan. I agreed to attend and thought it would be wise to try and regain some of the trust that I am sure I had lost with the town. The meeting was set, and I told the story and explained the reasoning for my actions, or lack thereof. I was met with some pushback and annoyance until a man I will call Rick stood up and spoke. What Rick said made my jaw drop. He too spoke of being visited by a dog-like being that also communicated to him. I very nervously asked what this thing said. Then it was at that very moment when I realized that I didn't even take the time to ask what was being communicated to John and Susan. Rick went on and said that he experienced, with somewhat muffled, graveled, and frightening verbiage, went on to say that the sentences were kind of run on or broken words. There were phrases like, join us, follow me, blood and the earth, along with some others that he dared not repeat to the congregation. A couple in the back corner then rose and spoke of having similar experiences. Then another, and another. They all started talking about experiences about this Doberman pinscher with the red eyes with the white coat. The meeting was soon filled with at least a dozen people coming forward with these very same stories. The chief also saying to me that the story was not that ridiculous, if you remember earlier, rose and told of his tale of seeing the exact same thing. I then realized that I failed in my pledged duties as a servant of God and his children. I questioned, where did my insecurities and my distrust in fellow man sour? Did darkness take over me so slowly that I could not see it? All these questions rustled through my brain. I dropped to my knees in forgiveness to the townspeople and to the Lord above. It was not until I felt a hand on my shoulder. It was the chief. Then a circle of the townsfolk surrounded me. They all told me it was not my fault. They told me they all prior knew of this demon dog that came to their windows at night. They said it was not their fault that John and Susan were not dead, and that they too offered no help. So this has been going on. They did not help poor John and Susan. So again, a piss poor priest, a piss poor community. Excuse the language, but this is really saddens me. It took me a few days to ponder what had happened at that town meeting. I had a guilty feeling and an uneasy, standoffish attitude now about the townspeople keeping this a secret, driving me crazy. I often wonder if this would have been brought to my attention by the group much earlier, then maybe things would have been different. My views, however, quickly changed as I got a knock at my front door. I went out to look and nobody was there. Then, set off to the side of my door, I see a basket covered with a cloth. The cloth was moving like something was alive and lying beneath it. I reluctantly gathered the basket and removed the cloth. There in front of me had to be a newly born white Doberman Pinscher pup. I left the town never to return. I dropped the puppy off at the front doorstep of the sheriff's office on my way out. And that's where it ends. Wow. Does this go on? An entire town knew about this? Did not fill in their priest, their holy man, their preacher? Nobody helped this couple. Of course, the priest didn't help this couple because he thought they were nuts. He was scared of them. But when you have a whole community to only rally around after the apparent murder-suicide, I tell you what, if I live in a town like that, I would get the hell out of there. No one's got your back. They keep it a secret. I don't know. Part of me feels bad for this priest. Part of me thinks, quite frankly, he didn't fulfill his job. He should have helped John and Susan. I'm sorry. Pray to the Lord all you want. You messed up. You messed up, I think, my friend. And I'm sorry to disparage you for sending in the email. That's just what I'm thinking immediately right now, you guys. I don't know if you guys share my opinion. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment. Share me out. Please subscribe to Bigfoot Michigan Rob. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm glad I got my power back. I was glad I was able to get out a story this weekend. You enjoy your day, your weekend. I know I will. I got my power. Bigfoot Michigan Rob's out.